Hello, my name is Muhammad Alif Aiman and I'm going to present the experiment about hydrostatic pressure. So first of all, what is hydrostatic pressure? Hydrostatic pressure is a pressure caused by standing water pushing against any object or surface that blocks it. Besides that, is also caused by pull of gravity that against standing water is relentless, causing the water to push and push hard against anything that restricts its flow. So the objective of this experiment is to prove the hydrostatic pressure, where pressure exerted by weight depends on the depth of immersion and density of the liquid. It's also to determine the relationship between the pressure, depth of immersion, and also the density. Next, the methodology of the experiment. The first step is fill the beaker with approximately 500 ml of water and place it on support plate. Then attach the measuring scale perpendicularly to the board next to the beaker so that the zero line is aligned with the water surface and that the water depth can be measured. The third step is lower the clamp holder with immersion probe until the lower edge of the immersion probe is 2 cm below the water surface, and then measure and record the distance between the lower edge of the meniscus of the water in the beaker and of the water at lower edge of the immersion probe, which is labeled as H, and also record and measure the height difference of the manometer between the lower edge of the meniscus, labeled as HM. The next step, the probe will approximately lowered by 2 cm every interval and the measurement is recorded. The experiment then repeated by replacing the water with alcohol and glycerol. This figure 1 shows the experiment setup of the hydrostatic pressure experiment, where at the beginning of the experiment, the probe is located above the beaker, and the apparatus used in this experiment is U-tube manometer, silicone tube, measuring scale, clamp holder, immersion probe, beaker, and support plate. So for the result and discussion part, the table shown in this slide is the result obtained from the experiment and recorded in form of table. H is the immersion depth of immersion probe in the beaker, while HM is the height difference in manometer. From the value of HM and H obtained, the graph HM against H is plotted and resulting in three straight lines where HM values are proportional to H, but they all have different gradients. We can conclude that the deeper the immersion probe is immersed in the liquid, the greater the height difference will be in manometer, because the value of HM is directly proportional to H. We also can see that glycerol has the biggest gradient and alcohol has the smallest gradient. In order to prove the proportionality between the pressure P and the density ρ, the value for the height difference in manometer is recorded in the table. The height is recorded when the immersion depth in the beaker is 12 cm for the three liquid where water, alcohol, and glycerol. Then the value obtained is used to plot the graph HM against density. So from the graph, we can conclude that hydrostatic pressure is proportional to the depth of immersion and to the density. For the conclusion part of this experiment, we can say that the objective of the experiment is achieved, where pressure exerted by the weight depends on the depth of immersion and density of liquid, because the experiment showed that the hydrostatic pressure is proportional to the depth of immersion and to the density. Besides that, the relationship between the pressure and the depth of immersion and also the density is also determined. That's all from me. Thank you.